What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is March 7th, 2021. Haven't made a proper video in quite a few days. The first thing I want to say is basically I want to thank everybody that left comments or watched my last video, which was a music video. I played guitar and I was singing a song, not one of my own songs, but a song by another artist on YouTube that I enjoy, that I like. So for those of you that caught that video, much appreciated. People were asking, was it an original? Was it a cover? It is a cover, and the link for the original version by Vanessa Valentine is in the description in that video. But yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody. It'd been a while since I posted one of those, videos of me playing guitar and singing. I've been trying to get back into that just as sort of like something else to do. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and I appreciate it very much for those of you that checked it out. So what I want to talk about is the markets, okay? The first thing I want to talk about is a documentary that I watched called Panic. It's called Panic. I think the full title is Panic, The Untold Story of the 2008 Financial Crisis, something to that extent. Very important video, though. I want all of you to watch it, okay? It's pretty easy to find. I forgot what channel uploaded it, but it's, obviously an establishment, piece of propaganda, in my opinion, right? Because they had interviews with all kinds of people, George Bush. They had interviews with Obama. And, this documentary, even though it was propaganda, right, they're really trying to spin that, the decisions that they made during the 2008 and 2009 financial crisis, they're really trying to spin that those decisions were the best decisions for America, right? They want us to believe that if they hadn't have intervened in the ways that they did, that we would have been facing, an economic crisis much worse than, we're experiencing today, and that, we should basically be thanking them, right? They recognize in the documentary, even the ex-presidents did, or the former presidents like Bush and Obama, they recognize that, that it wasn't perfect, and that the public, right? They specifically said, I remember both of the former presidents said that, they realize the public will never, believe that, that had the government not intervened, that it would have been 10 times worse, and that they were actually doing it to protect the American people. But that being said, it is a piece of propaganda, but it explains. It explains everything that we're experiencing in the markets today, right? If you were watching The Spy, right? If you were watching any of the indexes, any of the stocks, if you were watching the market on Friday, you saw the Plunge protection team in action, right? And it's kind of a joke in some of the stock market, stock market YouTube channels, right? The Plunge protection team, the Fed stepping in and, or the institution stepping in and somehow manipulating the markets, making sure they don't go down too far or go down too fast. But the reason you should watch this documentary, if you're sort of unfamiliar with, why the markets move the way that they do, the reason you should watch this documentary is because it really does explain what we're experiencing today, right? If you're involved in the stock market today, if you're investing, if you're trading, if you're just a spectator, this documentary, Panic, really explains, why the markets move the way that they do. And it explains just how much the institutions, the Fed, and the government are involved in manipulating the markets, right? Because all of this stuff, it didn't just stop after the 2009 crisis, right? The intervention is going on to this very day, right? Even more so. I mean, they just passed the $1.9 trillion stimulus plan. Back in 2009, that was completely unacceptable. At the time, they were asking for $700 billion, right? I think was the max number that they had asked for. And a lot of people look back on the financial crisis. I think even myself, I look back on the 2008 financial crisis thinking that, it was just one day, or it was just, boom, the market crashed and they had to do something and they corrected it. No, it was a process, right? Similar to what we've been experiencing over the last year, from 2020, the crash and the bull run after that. It's similar. It happened over a similar time span, right? This was about a year to maybe a year and a half. And it was like, banks started failing. So banks started buying other banks. And essentially, right, what was going on in 2008 with all the intervention, it just set the precedent for what we see today. And, when people talk about, especially on Friday, right, the Plunge protection team stepped in and pushed the markets higher, there is some truth to that, okay? But what a lot of people I don't think realize is that Wall Street is much smaller than they really want us to know, right? It's a handful of banks. I think it may be like 7, 8, 9 big investment banks. And so, yes, they're constantly making maneuvers behind the scenes, and they're not only are they trying to pull the wool over retail investors and retail traders' eyes, but not only that, but they're also using your money that you put into their bank accounts. When you open up an account, you're basically giving this bank an unsecured loan. They go ahead and use that money to take the opposite sides of your positions. So it's a pretty messed up system that we have. And that's been going on for a very long time. But the Plunge protection team, right? Is it real? To a certain extent, yes, it is. But the other thing to consider is that, what happened on Friday, a lot of these stocks and even the SPY itself, they came down into areas or demand zones, I like to call them, where institutional investors see fair value, right? So if you go back weeks or even months, you will see areas on any of these charts, the SPY, Apple, PayPal, right? Pick your favorite stock. You will see, if you go back far enough, an area of consolidation, right? It could be days, it could be a week or two, but followed by a big move to the upside. And this is what I call a demand zone, right? And so these areas, the institutional investors are not stupid. They know where the areas are too, and they're very methodical. So they have waited patiently for these stocks to run up the way they have, and maybe they've, traded short term on some of these moves, but they have waited patiently for these stocks to come into the levels that they dropped into on Friday. And as soon as they do, the institutions, they already have their orders set up, and they are accumulating shares, right? And so when you see the stocks come down and then make these wild swings back up, a lot of the times this is just where the institutions see the fair value. Most of these stocks haven't been in this area or in these zones for months, right? So this has been a long time coming that we've had a correction this big. And, the institutions, they're just waiting patiently for fair value, and they wait, they chart these zones out, and they wait until the stock or the index, whatever financial instrument they're looking at is in these zones, and then that's when they start accumulating shares. So it's not so much, conspiratorial. It's just sort of how this is just how things are. You do have institutional traders. They buy and they sell in certain areas. And if you can map those areas out, it's usually in these major, areas where you will see, consolidation followed by a big move, either to the up or the downside. If you can find those areas and try to trade within those parameters, right, then you're kind of, what you're doing is you're trading with the institutional traders and investors. And I think that's probably the best side to be at, right? If you can't beat them, join them. That's, I would say, probably the best side to be on. But, I do feel sorry for the retail traders that recently have, totally been had, right? Because there were people that bought PayPal at $300 a share, $309 a share, right? I'm sure there were lots of people that did this, and they're reading the propaganda in the mainstream media that, PayPal could be a $450 stock, or, PayPal's valuation puts its target price, here, wherever. a lot of people bought into this, and they went all in when PayPal was at $300 a share, right? Because, Cathie Wood told them to. And now look where they are, right? I mean, PayPal lost damn near, I think, a third of its value recently in the last couple of weeks. I mean, that was a huge swing from over $300 to like $219, I think it dropped to, maybe even more than that on Friday. I feel sorry for these people, but a lot of these people, these are the, like I said, they're the Cathie Wood ARK fanboys. They follow their favorite investor and they buy whatever that investor tells them to buy, right? Whatever that big famous investor supposedly is doing. And usually when we get the news that's, Warren Buffett bought Apple or something, that event happened months ago, and Warren Buffett has already realized, his profits on these trades. But a lot of people, this is how they trade, right? It's called signals. Some of them even pay to be in signals chats. People are very impressionable. They're very, it's very easy to influence people. And so a lot of people fall for these traps. I truly do believe a lot of people are falling for the crypto scam as well. I'm not going to get into that, but it's similar to what we're seeing. But essentially, there's a lot of propaganda in the media that does influence people to buy these, stocks. But when people are buying PayPal at $300 a share, it is the institutions that are scalping their profits, right? They're taking profit. The retail traders are providing the liquidity for these big institutional investors. So watch that documentary, Panic. Okay, I'm telling you, it is fundamental if you want to understand what we are experiencing in these markets today. All right, because it involves a lot. It involves the Treasury, the Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen. It involves Jerome Powell from the Fed. And Jerome Powell, he has, there's a lot of manipulation techniques there, right? Like raising the interest rates. That could be, I'm going to quote the Uneducated Economist. I really like that channel. But when Jerome Powell says that he's going to, raise interest rates, that could just be a credible threat. That could be, he's just basically putting that out there to see what the market does, when in reality, they might actually be planning on going into the negative. So you've got a lot of that kind of manipulation as well. So watch Panic, all right? Now, here's the other thing I want to talk about is where are stocks going, right? What's going to happen here? So you have a couple sides of the argument. Some people believe that this is just a correction and that stocks are going to go to the moon. If you look at the charts, right, some of the stocks that I'm following, PayPal, Apple, Square, NEO, what are some other ones I'm following? The SPY index. If you follow some of these equities, the daily chart from Friday, right, the candle that formed, there's a lot of buying pressure, all right? I can't lie about that. There's a lot of buying pressure, and the reason is because they're in these weekly demand zones. Like I said, areas of consolidation months ago, followed by a big move to the upside. They fell right into those areas. So you can literally see the candlestick charts. Some of them are green, some of them are red, but they used to be red candles, right? And by the middle of the day, buyers stepped in, right? Those orders that were in from months ago pushed these stocks back up. So you can literally see these huge, like long bottoming tails or wicks under most of the equities that I'm looking at. So it's pretty incredible to see, is this just a correction? Probably, right? We do have the $1 $1.9 trillion stimulus package, though I do believe a lot of that is already priced in. There's going to be other good things that come out, right? Vax news, getting people vaxxed, stuff what the establishment and the public deems as good news, right? I'm not necessarily saying all of this stuff is good, but without getting political into this, I do think it's possible that this is just a correction. Now, there's another side of the argument where people say that, no, this is the stock market deflating, right? That the stock market already should have been continuing to go up based on the fact that they knew that the $1.9 trillion stimulus program was going to be passed, right? They've known this for a couple of weeks now that this was most likely going to pass. So a lot of people are saying that the fact that the markets are deflating and have been for a couple of weeks now, that it's going to keep going that way. All right, now there's eternal bears out there, and a lot of the times, these people are very angry because, if the Fed and the Treasury, if they want the markets up, that's where the markets are going to go. I do think they've kind of scalped a lot of their profits now, right? They've transferred a lot of wealth from retail investors and into their own pockets, and I think they may be ready to go in the other direction and send these stocks back up to the moon. But that being said, there is a possibility that we are seeing the market deflate. All right, that the market is coming down. It's coming down into its real valuations, and that we could have a little bit longer to go. Right, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if it went that way, even though I'm expecting this week to see a lot of green. I also think with the Biden administration, the establishment. And that includes, the economists that are working on the country right now. I think they're going to do everything possible to make Biden's administration look like an economic success, if only on paper, if only, through illusions. That's what I think the plan is. I think a lot of what we saw happen to the markets and to especially the former president over the last few months of his term, I think that was done in a way to make his administration look like a failure. So I think with Biden, they're going to do the exact opposite, right? So I will not be surprised at all if stocks go back up. But follow the dollar index too. On some of these, I know on my platform, TD Ameritrade, you can find the dollar index by typing in I think it's the dollar sign and then DXY. On other platforms, it'll just be DXY. But the dollar looks like it made pretty much a double bottom and is now on the way up. Okay, a lot of people are still right now saying that, including Peter Schiff and Mineko 64, a lot of these guys, who's that other guy, George Gammon, a lot of people say that the dollar is still going to get weaker, right? That we're going to see lows that we saw in 2008. I don't know if that's true, at least temporarily, right? At least for the short term, I think it's quite possible that the dollar continues to rise. You have a lot of dollar-denominated debt out there. It has to get paid back in dollars. You've got a lot of demand for dollars for trade. Amongst other countries. So as the dollar does get stronger, the markets could continue to deflate. That's usually what happens. As the dollar gets weaker, markets go up. If the dollar gets stronger, the markets come down. That's what I have seen. That's kind of what I've witnessed. Pay attention to the VIX as well, but also pay attention to the Fed, right? Pay attention not to just what the Fed is doing, but what the Fed is saying. And I'll go back to that idea about the credible threats. Sometimes the Fed just says something just to see how the market reacts, to see if they can fix the market with just a credible threat. Right, or correct the market, or make the market go up with just a credible threat. I'll give you another clear example of this. When they set up these lending facilities, right? This was part of the last stimulus, or no, the first stimulus package back in April or whenever they passed it. During the beginning of the pandemic. The Fed set up these lending facilities, and these lending facilities were basically set up so that they could, acquire corporate debt. Okay, they didn't actually end up using these facilities all that much. They didn't end up acquiring that much corporate debt, the corporate bonds, but just on the idea that they would do so, right? The credible threat that the Fed was going to buy up the corporate bond market. The public, or the investors, they went and front run the Fed, and they ended up, they're now, I guess, holding the bag on that. So you got to be careful too, because the Fed, they'll leave all of us if they can holding the bag. And I think, the Uneducated Economist, that channel, he talks a lot about this kind of thing. He gets into the bond market, but paying attention to the bond market and what the Fed is sort of saying about the bond market, what the Fed is saying about the interest rates. A lot of the times the Fed has no intentions of actually doing what they're saying. They're just saying it to get a certain reaction, right, out of, there was a time in America's history where nobody even knew who the Fed chairman was, right? But now we're in this, weird twilight zone where the Fed chairman, who happens to be Jerome Powell right now, he's like sort of, he's like a celebrity at this point. People worship this guy. If you follow that one channel, the Trading Fraternity, there's people out there that worship the ground this guy walks on. They worship every move he makes. They think he's a genius, right? And he may be, he's probably a lot smarter than I am, but is he making decisions that are for the good of the American people? That's really what they want us to believe, right? And going back to the documentary Panic, that piece, they really want you to believe that the decisions they made in 2008 was for your good, was for my good, was for the country's good, right? I question a lot of this kind of thing. But like I said, that documentary explains what we're experiencing today in the market. So let me know, what is on your watch list? What are you trading? Where are you putting your money? And comment down below, what's going on in your local area, in your local economies. Do you see things getting better, or are they getting worse? I'd love to hear back from you guys. Comment down below, give the video a like, and as always, until next time, God bless.